top, trickle down to everyone, so that everybody can see what that vision is and start to execute it based on the strategies and the plans that you can put together. So the education is very necessary. There are a lot of people who have concerns, valid concerns, but we have to educate everyone, top down. The IT folks, it will be much easier for us to understand it. And our fears are that the CEO is going to come down and slam on us. That's our fear the most. But the truth of the matter is we know the technology will work. We know it can be done. So the education needs to start at the top and start working its way down. So unfortunately, we didn't have some of the people who matter, who may be able to put that vision in place. But as IT folks, we can drive that to the extent that we're able to and make sure that everybody's educated on what needs to happen. I hope that answers your question.
Okay, thanks for that response around the need for a paradigm shift, a mindset shift. Any other questions, reactions? Everybody seems happy, sorry.
Okay, thank you very much. And if you have any questions, we're going to be around the rest of the conference and we'll be happy to answer them.
While he was making his presentation, the thought occurred to me, the vendors that are in the room or the service providers, do you put that much detail into your brochures or when you're talking to potential clients? Especially the detail around what is going to be required to just make the move. Or we're busy just selling that you need the move because you need it for this ABC. I think that's important, the housekeeping elements that go into actually moving, into actually migrating. We've got a change in our program. Some of our panelists, unfortunately, said they might be available more in the afternoon. They would like to sit in and absorb just a few more presentations. So we're going to skip to Chetan Mistry. He's supposed to present on Cloud and Industry 4.0, 4.0, 4.0. Okay, so he's going to be our next speaker and that will take us to lunch.
Hello everyone. How are you guys doing? We're doing good. This is the final presentation session before the lunch, and after that we're going to have a panel discussion. So I've got a different position here. I'm going to try and give you an understanding from a very ground-up level, try and take a bit of a journey so that we can understand some of the concepts that are there. I come from a marketing environment, so I think from a marketing perspective, I don't think from an engineer's perspective. So let's see how we can walk this journey and we can see, take the knowledge from that and implement it in our lives. And see how we can implement it in our businesses so that we can drive change and drive the digital economy. So I'm going to take you through the story. It's a journey that I want you to walk with me with. I'm going to use the story of a selfie. How many of you know what a selfie is? You've got to be proud of this moment. You have to know what a selfie is. If you're not raising your hand, it's quite scary. Maybe we need to change it the other way around. Not know what a selfie is? One hand came up. now everybody's shy, just in case they didn't know. But everybody knows what a selfie is, right? Especially in this day and age. It's a common thing. It's interesting that not too long ago, this word selfie didn't exist. When did it come about? Oxford Dictionary only brought about this word selfie about 10 years ago. And people started taking pictures of themselves. And where does this all stem from? So we can use this as the storyline. So what a selfie is, it's not that. Just in case somebody thought that that's what a selfie is. Anybody tried this one out here? I don't know whose birthday held up. Apple people probably that do things like this. Us Android people, we know what a selfie is all about. Any Apple people in the house? Apple users? a few. You see, they're a little shy. This is not quite what they end up doing. So anybody can you shout out? This is meant to be a bit more interactive. I wanted to tell us a few things. If you have to just throw words out, what is a selfie? What words come to your mind? And I'd like to hear you shout as loud as you can. Don't be scared.
Self-representation.
Self-representation. Cool. Somebody else?
Portrait. Portrait.
Portrait. Fantastic. Something else?
Filters.
Filters? Yes? Now, if you're an average selfie person, you know what a filter is, right? A few people might be laughing in the background, they just look stunned, they don't know what a filter is in a selfie environment. That's not our education for today. We're here for data centers. I promise you, this is not a selfie class. Anything else?
Sexy.
Sexy! Now words are coming out, look at that. We're getting warmed up. Come on guys, we want these kind of words there. How many of you I don't need to do a demonstration how you take a selfie, do I? I really don't. Anybody would like to come up and do a demonstration what a selfie is like? Who's a brave person in this audience who'd like to do it? Any other words? At the back.
Barack Obama.
Barack Obama, why?
There was a time when he was the photograph taking himself with one of the presidents and he was around.
Fantastic. So selfie is not about just that teenager in the house who stands there taking that photograph of themselves, isn't it? It's about Barack Obama. So it's from right at the bottom, right up to presidential spheres, right into business people. So it spreads right across the board. But what really a selfie is that. What is it? It's a memory, am I right? Is it not a memory? You captured that moment where you were, so you can capture it for life, correct? Yes? Can we have a loud yes?
Yes.
Thank you very much. So it's a memory. But what do we do with memories? So not too long ago, this is how we stored memory. These are racks of film. Do you know what a film is? Maybe a few people in this current generation may not know what a film is. It's those little tape type of things where images are imprinted onto it. Then you put them in a box, you put them in a stars, and you put them like this. So maybe there's a few thousand images there, and that's how you keep them. That's what it was like not too long ago. But things have changed, am I right? Devices like this. See, I do order Apple people. They do have a smart device like this. So this is where your device, all your images are being stored nowadays. Is that not true? It's not true. Because things have changed even from that. You can store 128 gigs worth of data on these devices, but the cloud's changed everything. Because where do those images now sit? Where does all that 128 data really sit? How many of you ever lost your phone and needed to get going again?
Oh yeah.
How long did it take you to restart? If you use cloud services, you can actually get going in more than 20 minutes because everything just gets synced back to the cloud. So this is what we, in this age, this is what's coming about. Where everything, our memories, our digital data, everything's there. That's quite straightforward, right? This selfie is the most popular selfie ever. When a friend of mine, he said, that looks like a terrible photo. And it is. If you look at it, it's blurry, it's pixelated, so many things behind it. But what happened was, Ellen DeGeneres, at the Oscars, she took this photograph, a selfie with all the colleagues around her, and it became the most popular selfie ever at that stage. This is a couple of years ago. And just to give you an understanding, what it's like, 3.4 million retweets, 2.4 million likes. This is just on Twitter. What's the result of that? You see the data that's just been generated just from that one selfie. This is the type of age that we're living in. It's really incredible. It kind of makes you think about a few things as far as the age that we're living in. If you have to just take this whole selfie story and try and understand what's ending up happening around us, we'll just take 3 points from that. And just see, if you have to ask a few questions around this and think about it, how many devices? This was one person, one device. How many devices do people have these days? How many of you here today have a cell phone and a tablet as an example? A Few hands up, bring up. A cell phone, tablet, and a laptop. A cell phone, tablet, laptop, and a smartwatch maybe. Tablets, smartwatch, 2 tablets. Can you put all these type of things together? And you can understand what would happen if you put all this together. From one device, one image shared on one platform, we had over 500 gigs worth of data being transferred. Isn't that incredible? So that traffic is something just completely phenomenal. And things that we're driving it. But it does bring a few other questions to this as well, because we're seeing so much of information being shared, data being shared. It's also about security, the privacy that's there. How many of you are a little scared to actually take a photo of your child playing in the garden? I had a very scary story somebody sent me on WhatsApp, and they told me about what not to do on Facebook. Then they told me, don't ever take pictures of your child leaving the school. Why? Because there are predators out there, they actually understand which school you're going to, what time this kid comes up, and they use this information to now basically invade your life. So we're living with so many challenges in this day and age. We have so many advancements, but we have so many challenges. So we need to then translate this. But before we do that, we have to have a selfie moment. Can we do a selfie moment, everybody? We're talking about selfies, we cannot go and get. Alright? Can you all take your phones out? All your selfie people. And get ready for the best selfie that you've ever taken. Once you take the best selfie photo, get onto Twitter or Facebook or whichever platform you want, take it, biggest smile ever, take the photograph, share the photograph, make sure you hashtag Schneider's Electric, make sure you hashtag Data Center Africa Conference, am I right, Daniel? We make this, if that photo was the most popular retweet in the world, can we make this the most popular retweet at least for some topic? Can we do this? Hashtag Data Center Conference, Data Center Conference. Hashtag. Now, put your company, whatever hashtag, go for it. This is part of it. You're living in this, being part of it. You want it to be engaged in this, you want it to be part of this movement. If you're expecting people to move to data centers, you've got to live this digital life. So you have to be part of this trend. We have to be contributing to that digital trend. You have to live the digital life to be in that space. Are we all done?
You have to take several to get the perfect one.
No, you're absolutely right. So that's another important lesson that we learn from selfies. You cannot just take one selfie. You take 3 to the minimum and you choose the best one from those 3. And if you need some the next year, you have to choose the best one for you. Everybody done?
Yes. Yeah.
Anyone not done? So thank you very much. So we're going to shift a little bit. So that's from a normal day-to-day perspective. You as an individual sitting in your lounge, sitting at home, driving your car, the experience you have with digital. But what about industry? What is industry doing about this digital trend and shift that's actually taking place? So this image basically gives you an understanding of the paradigms that have shifted. We started with Industry 1.0 not too long ago, the 1700s. And in that phase, basically, they were driven on production. It was driven on steam power. And that was the place what manufacturing was all about. Then came the shift of Industry 2.0, where we're seeing conveyor belts, electricity coming into it, you're seeing workstations, and then you're seeing more industrialized factories coming about. Industry 3.0 was when they started introducing automation into the factories. And of course, we can expect what 4.0 is going to be, am I right? You would have guessed it. There were all that computation is that how we're connecting industries, how we're connecting those devices, and now taking it to even one further level. So to give you an understanding, this is a case study of something that is done. So can you have some sound?
This is John and Marsha. Like all great love stories, John and Marsha met over coffee. Launcha joined the coffee factory 2 years ago. 2 years ago, operations management used data collected by Wonderware Historian to make optimizations. They introduced Pack Drive 3 to improve their packaging productivity, which led to increased profit. Increased profit meant they could hire Launcha as a maintenance agent to look after machines in the coffee factory, such as the time when she was notified by an alert on the out-of-hour process drive that there had been malfunction. At the same time, PLC M580 motor controllers had automatically reconfigured production and diverted beans to a new grinder. Now Launcha could diagnose the problem with her augmented reality app and send a report to a plant operator, like John. John could then reorganize production and easily validate repairs using situational awareness from his Wonderware InTouch app. It's amazing what can happen over coffee. Another process made possible by Schneider Electric. Innovation at every level.
So we can see from this video clip that how industry has changed. So we can example of this coffee bean story that's there. We see in a factory where ordinarily previously for conveyor belt stock, if there was a problem with it, what happens? Production stopped and came to an end. But with intelligence coming in from the digital environment, we can see that now automatically, on its own accord, with intelligence that has been planned into the whole system, that it already knows that if there's something that's blocking the chain, then it flows into another system, and therefore production never stops. And that gives you some time for industries to go there and make sure that the fault can be repaired without actually stopping production. Isn't this incredible for industry? It's really a phenomenal world that we're living in. So with this, it means that we have to change as businesses. What does it mean for us? What businesses are driving from us is that they want us to be a bit more commercialized and a bit more technically flexible in how we actually deliver solutions to them. So we heard this terminology just in the presentation before us, and it's quite interesting, this platform, and there's a really great understanding of what this platform is all about. So let's see if you can remember what some of these mean. What is PaaS? We have a shout out. Thank you. IaaS. And SaaS. Fantastic. So we're hearing these terms coming about. Type of parameters, technologies coming in, types of thinking that's coming in, and which needs to be introduced into our day-to-day lives as far as business people are concerned. And how we can understand this, I'm going to give a different explanation from what is presented before us, and I'm going to use pizza as an example, and I hope you guys are pizza lovers here. Lunch is not too far away, so it's a good appetizer for what's to come. So just to understand this, we can see the on-premise environment, and it's very similar to the example that was given before. But we see here on the on-premise from a pizza example is that everything's provided. Your table, soda, your toppings, the bases, etc. are all provided from your home. You provide it yourself. You make everything. You assemble it, etc. In an infrastructure as a service dimension, some components you provide, some components a vendor provides. In this case, we get our pizza dough, the pizza itself, the base, the toppings, etc. from a supermarket market as an example, and we take it home and we bake it in our facility. The baking facility is our house, the electricity, the oven, etc. that we use, which is ours, and we saw that the pizza itself is coming from a vendor. In the platform as a we see now a lot more resources are being pulled from a vendor, and in this case, everything besides the dining room table and perhaps soda is provided by the vendor. And software as a service is completely everything provided by the vendor. So if you put that into the picture of the cloud service model, and as we saw in the previous presentation, the benefits of understanding different infrastructures that are available, technologies that are available to people, and how people want to make choice. So today people will decide, do I eat at home? Do I go out for dinner? Do I buy from the shop and bake it at home? So people want to make these choices. And the same thing can be translated in the business environment, how they engage with digital, how do they engage with data centers, all can be translated into these platforms of choice. And providers today will need to be understanders and be able to provide it across the board. These are some examples of the different platforms and some of the service providers that are there. And you can Google these and look into them and try and understand and start the services that they're offering and how they're trying to fit into that model. The key thing around this is to understand the benefits between the two, and that also came up in the previous presentation. So the old school thinking of on-premise was ideal. Most people like to own what they have and control over everything. But the benefit is the challenge that comes out of it. When you lose the control, you think that you lose all components of it. But if you see the benefits that come out of it, even though you have a subscription-based cloud computing, the overall long-term benefits is 70% better than an on-premise type of model. So you can see the benefits are incredible, and therefore the shift has been taking place where everybody is moving to the cloud more and more. So some of the commercial drivers for these changes are also pertinent to understand. And we can see this, we see this all around us. We just demonstrated how every one of us has so many devices. Cisco as an example says by 2031 there'll be 200 billion connected devices. And this is driven mainly because of Industry 4.0, where in our factories, every conveyor belt, every station, every component is going to have a sensor that's behind it. So how many connected components is going to be into the system. Also, the itself is advancing. It's saying that technology is 10 times more powerful every 5 years. And this is not hard to fathom. You can just consider yourself from today compared to 5 years ago and 10 years ago, and compare those, you get a good understanding. What's the deal breaker and what's the amazing thing, and what is really going to change things, is really the cost of technology. Because we know that technology is expensive. But as this technology is becoming more and more prevalent, it's almost coming to a zero platform cost. And that's really going to change the market, because that will enable these connected devices to be really everywhere. Every position, every place that you can imagine, you will see a connected device. This is what Light's doing to demonstrate this. Slide, please.
It's of the heart of the brand, so we wanted to create an experience to challenge the concept of the brand itself.
超正確な RFID システムを用いて2周目のラップタイムを測ります。2周目より LED スクリーンにアバターが出現。アバターは2周目のラップタイムで演奏し、アバターに立つと新しく更新されたベストタイムにアバターに自分の最高記録をさらに超えられるよう自分に挑戦することができます。
Competition, because you're not just eating a life or your watch, you're just being almost like a natural person. レーザーから遮断レコード、電気のエディター制度の地域をアバターの内在を構築している。私たちは4つのカテゴリーに合わせてモードを選択することができます。
Here is that usual track over. Medyo hirap na yung habit.
We knew we were building something very magical, but you know, when it first kind of turned on and started working, we were all like, oh my god.
themselves. Our ambition was to make our athletes face-to-face with themselves.
Wouldn't that be now we can understand this just to see the prevalence of this connected device and how they're communicating and changing our lives completely. I mean, even a rudimentary activity like just taking a run now becomes a digital experience. And you can see this. You can track how fast you're going, you can set yourself your pace, you can challenge yourself for faster limits, etc. So it's really incredible what's happening around us. So the question then, what does it mean for us in our industry, in the data industry? What it really means is that there's a greater reliance on data centers. For all this to be taking place, it has to be driven by the data center. And the trends that are is what we've just been discussing, and in summary, it's basically the digital drive that's been taking place, the growth of 3 times more global data in the next 5 years. Very easy to anticipate this. We spoke about the number of connected devices. This is another step by 2020, 20 billion. We talked about the data sovereignty, and it is important to understand that our data is at risk, so these are the challenges for data center people. One thing that we're going to really explain is the trend of edge computing, and that's going to come up as we're going along. In our strategies, we're going to understand that we're still going to stick to the fundamentals of building our data centers. That doesn't change. Things like availability, scalability, resilience does not change one bit, no matter what's happening. Will remain. These are key elements for the data center to be effective. So we're going to keep this in mind all the time. For example, why this is so important, if you followed South Africa, takealot.com had which is a platform. For Black Friday, they had a whole lot of specials, but within the first few hours, the traffic that was there, they were down. So you can just imagine the lost revenue, the reputation loss that took place. But if you think about it now from our industry perspective, what were the drivers behind this? They were not able to be 100% available. They weren't able to be 100% scalable, so that you could actually take on more of the traffic that was coming through. So I want you to think about this and link it to other areas, the technologies that we mentioned, things like the software as a service, those type of platforms, and see how do we link these together. We also have a challenge, because it's not just about building the data centers, but there's also a responsibility that we have to the planet. We know that energy consumption, we know that digital IT equipment is one of the most energy consuming elements of our lives today. So energy consumption is going to be growing by 1.5. Plus we're trying to halve our carbon emissions. So the net effect is that we have to become 3 times more efficient. It's a huge challenge for data center designers to come up with the solutions behind this. So we've got to keep that in mind too. We also have to keep in mind that every data center build is not the same, am I right? It's not like you buy a can of beans, you can take it one place and move it to another place and it's equal wherever it is. No. A data center build is unique to its place, unique to its country, unique to its requirements, unique to its service requirements that are there. So these are some paradigms that we might need to think about. And there's lots of them that we can add to this list. So we're talking cloud. As part of the strategy, we have to understand the cloud strategy too. So what is happening as far as the cloud is concerned? We know that we have a proliferation of connected devices, and they're each connected to the cloud, and that there's traffic moving in between the cloud and your connected devices. Well, what does this mean? Is there some ramification to this? As we're seeing some of those trends that are there, the increased digital traffic. So some of the issues that are coming out from the cloud itself are things like connectivity. How many of you try to connect to Wi-Fi and you can't get on? It becomes a challenge, am I right? What do? You cannot connect to the cloud. If you have services and you cannot connect to the cloud, and those services that you provide to your customers, you don't get them. What happens then? You also have broadband issues. So you have this increased traffic and you have a very small pipe. What happens then? So the level of service that you deliver to your customers become an issue. We talk about data protection. making sure that all the traffic and all the personal information that we have in those platforms still remain intact so that we can ensure trust. And one of the again is on the latency. So you're taking this traffic with the connectivity issue, broadband issues, is about the release of data back. Because as you know, the higher the broadband, you've got a small pipe and you've got increased traffic, getting the information back to your customers can be critical. So if you use the example of our coffee bean factory as an example, if we went back into the cloud, the information went back into the cloud, and waited for it to get back to the devices itself, it may be too long, and the coffee beans may spill off the conveyors. It will be too late. So it's important for us to be able to deliver the solution to really have the capacity, but on the time at the right time. So this is changing the parameters of how we need to think about the cloud and how we design the entire value chain behind the cloud. With that comes a new concept, or not really a new concept, but a concept of edge, or sometimes they call it fog computing. And what this really means is that now you have connected devices, so you have a lot more devices. Those devices are generally closer to the source of the data that you have. So as an example, we use the Nike example. You got this runner. Where is the edge element? Is that on the laces as you're tying it, you're tying the sensors to that shoe. That's a computer right there on your shoe. And that's the element that's actually collecting your data. And that's the element that needs to feed back the data. So now the challenge is becoming where edge computing, that edge computer has to push back data to give real-time information back so that there can be some intelligent action taken behind it. And that's critical because for us in this digital age, the time element, and 1 second in our context can be a long time. So when we're designing data centers today, we have to take this consideration into place. So what we have previously, you have in a cloud environment, you have your centralized cloud, and you're communicating directly to the cloud. But to speed up the process, to eliminate some of the challenges that we've had previously with the cloud, we're now seeing regional edge data centers and localized edge data centers. And this is to make sure that we ensure the data that we have is available right then and then when the data is required. So what tends to happen is the computation level for the immediate needs are taken care of. It pushes back immediately into the environment that you're in. And where you want to see longer-term data computing takes place in the cloud. So as an example, your immediate data as far as in this coffee factory example you've given, immediate data is about that conveyor belt that may fail. And that's taking place in the edge level of computing. It lets you understand that there's a failed conveyor belt. Change the conveyor belt so that there's immediate action. So with that comes the artificial intelligence that's there, the software that's driving behind it to tell you that you need to have a change. And without human interaction, everything's taking place as you saw in the example that we had. And what happens in the cloud then is that the longer term computational elements are taking place. So in the same example, we can see how often does a particular conveyor belt may fail. And therefore now you can start bringing intelligence into it. As an example, we can predict in 6 months as an example of the amount of gains going through that conveyor belt that it may fail. And we see this in a car example. If you have a car, you may drive a car and it will tell you, you need to change your cam belt or do an oil change before it actually ends up happening. And we call this predictive maintenance. And this is coming about all through intelligence because all these connected devices are sending information to the cloud. The cloud is understanding it, it's learning it, and giving you the trend analysis that's coming out from that. Yeah. So the times have changed, where we move back and forth between centralized and decentralized computing environments, and we're back now, we're in a distributed computing environment. So things don't always remain the same, right? So I'd like to use Schneider as an example of what we're doing, and hopefully we can take the information from our side and share it with you so that you can also implement this in your industries, in your spaces, so that we can all grow together. And it is important, the day and age of where you keep everything to yourself doesn't work. The more we share how we're doing things, we make the ability for us to change and grow with the environments that we are in. So at Schneider Electric, we call it our system of operating in this environment, cloud environment, EcoStructure. And I'm going to just give you an example of what this EcoStructure really is. By definition, EcoStructure is our open, interoperable, IoT-enabled system architecture and platform. So what does this mean? So we heard something in the previous examples about what happens, you vendor lock. Somebody talked about that. As I mentioned, the day and age where one person sticks to a certain vendor are gone. So we need to make things, infrastructure, solutions, etc., available to everybody in an easy way. So with EcoStructure, we're seeing that our platforms, so for connected devices, it does not matter which vendor you're with. You can still communicate, you can still interact with them, still get computing, you can still do analytics behind it. And that's critical because we see even in our data centers, we have so many different vendors present in our data centers. So with this, we understand the shift and the ability for somebody to have choice. So when we design this EcoStructure around the whole IoT concept, was built understanding this ability to have choice. So with this EcoStructure, it's also important that we deliver certain paradigms: safety, reliability, efficiency, sustainability, and connectivity for all our customers. And that's really what's driving it. So it's important to understand this is what we give back to our customers, and we can see that this is the paradigms that are important for them to enable them to be 100% available for their customers. And it leverages all the elements of the IoT, which means mobility, connected devices, the cloud, analytics, and we put it all together and to give you a complete solution around those. So I'm just going to give it to you in a more, before I do that, just to let you know that there's hundreds of thousands of these systems that have been installed globally, and give you an understanding that a billion devices are being connected through this EcoStructure platform, mainly in the industrial spaces. I'm just going to give you an understanding of this to give you a pictorial view of how the system works. And like I said, this is Schneider Electric's method, but the principle is to in any environment that you're in. So we have the connected products, which we all understand. A step above that is the edge control that we've been talking about. So this is very close to the connected product. It can be on the device itself, it can be in the premises, like in a small regional localized data center, and that's taking the computational data and feeding it back into the connected device. You have analytics, which now takes the longer term view, and this can be sitting in the cloud and do the long-term analytics that are important for us. We have to consider the other elements of where this technology is sitting, and also as far as the cybersecurity that's concerned around those. And making sure that each of those levels are actually connected to each other and feeding back information again. The data center context, to help you to understand how all this puts together in a Schneider Electric environment. So we have connected devices as an example. We're looking at from the medium voltage connected devices right up to the low voltage, right into the data center itself, the racks, the PDUs, the UPSs, the cooling units, etc. all need to be talking to each other. Feeding into our software systems on the edge computing level, and feeding that into our apps and analytical level, and then of course getting the intelligence behind the entire system in which we can feed back the information. To understand this from a very paradigm perspective, where does all the solutions sit? So as an example, environment, it's your chillers, your pumps, your fire and security type of elements of your whole data center. Power components, as I mentioned, low voltage, medium voltage, the bus bars, the panels, the breakers, etc. all need to be connected. And then of course your IT equipment itself, where you got your racks, your flooring, your PDUs, etc., all understanding and fitting into this entire system, this ecosystem that you have. And bundled together with all of this, we have to make sure that our services are being delivered. So the principle behind this is that we have a few stages that we need to have. We need to close the loop, and again, this is for everybody. So we need to collect the data, and from every element, every connected device, keep it working together, feeding together, pushing the data into a central point, analyzing the data, and then taking some action. And then we loop. It doesn't stop there. It needs to go through this action continuously. So the software element around this data centers become really a key element of the data center, because that's where it really comes in. It allows you to be efficient to understand what's happening in a data center and really be able to adjust, change to circumstances within your data center. So if we're looking at that environment, we see that the software can take in all the information and then react to all those different components within the data center and feed back into it. Software that we're using from this EcoStruxure platform, we've had so many years of experience. Our EcoStruxure platform, which is IoT based, has been developed since 2009. The amount of years, we're only hearing many companies coming into the IoT platform today. But the years of development from Schneider Electric has been taking place for a decade. And we can see from that the software that we developed is recognized. So here in this case, Gartner has recognized it as a leader in the magic quadrant that they have. And therefore the success has been phenomenal from the software platform. So that we can recognize is all the different components of the data center. So you can have a high-level view, you can look at mechanical elements, you can look at your electrical elements, you can look at your IT equipment through this software system that we have. Many components from a co-location perspective, your enterprise side of things, you can understand fully what's happening in your data center. You can take action as far as things that change within your data center. We know it's critical that we have the uptime, so things like temperature is critical for us. You're seeing changes in temperature, and you can react to it. You can make a difference immediately before it has a critical change or effect on it. These are some examples of how you can analyze your environment and make sure that you can make the adjustments that's there. From a PE perspective, so I'd like to take you through a few case studies just to understand some of the end results that we got out of some of the solutions that we put in and what's the benefit to your customers and organization that you're in. So as an example, 75% time spent on data center maintenance. Yesterday somebody was telling us about how much of the understanding of the maintaining the data center was critical for them. They did not have a full understanding, they did not have full skills. Also from a time perspective, how much time they're spending on the maintenance. These are all equate to rands at the end of the day, or dollars. Some of the other changes that we've had, 30% reduction in power and cooling costs, 30% cooling cost reduction. Capital expenditure is also being saved, 59% savings. So outcomes, if we actually engage from a strategy perspective on how we're deploying data centers, get some of these end results. These are some of the data centers that we've installed around the world and some of the key benefits that they've received. So Green Mountain Data Center, which is a unique environment in which they built the data center underground as an example. They managed to get the PUEs to 1.2 and a 0 CO2 emissions on the data center. So these are some of the results we can get. In a healthy environment where they needed 100% uptime level, we got it very close, 99.97. That's an A for most of us. In Spain, again, very low PU environment that we've had. Some of the organizations that are using our EcoStruxure solution, and you can see some of the big names that are there. This is some of the results from all our activities. Get some sound of this. Relies on technology. Be able to solve this, let's move ahead. So basically this firm in New Zealand used our IoT platform to help understand and solve the problem from an agricultural perspective. So they installed sensors on in the ground, on the water sprinklers that they have. So they have a bunch of moisture days in the soil and accordingly dispenses of water that's required so that just the right amount of water is used to make sure that our plants are growing in the proper way. So we can understand the benefits from these type of environments and we can see how it can impact on our daily lives. We're seeing in a country like South Africa where we're experiencing one of our worst droughts in decades and Cape Town's pretty much run out of water completely. How these kind of solutions can actually enable the world. So it's so important for us to jump onto this because we can create so much of efficiency and using technology we can provide so much to the world out there and to our customers as well. So just understand it from the cloud providers for Africa. So that's the map of Google's key data centers around the world. Something's missing there, right? Who can spot what's missing? A red dot on Africa. Google may not be here yet, but see who else is. So we're seeing Amazon's web services have come into Africa in the last couple of years. They've installed data centers in Cape Town and Johannesburg. We're seeing Microsoft has come into South Africa as well, in Cape Town. We're seeing IBM has come into South Africa as well, in Johannesburg. So they've recognized that Africa is the next frontier from a data center perspective. So they are coming into our environments. So as data center providers ourselves, what are you going to do? Understanding that these data come into our countries. It's important to understand it so we can be prepared for it. We can leverage up the technology they bring. For example, we're reliant on them. Amazon is an example to deliver goods and services. We can take advantage of the services will come to us a lot quicker. But it's also a threat to us because what does it mean for us? Can we not provide those services as somebody from Tel1 was mentioning? That we want to become, in our countries, our organization, our own organizations, our own African companies need to be able to provide these solutions for our own continent. We don't have our sound, it would be really great for you to hear this. So in South Africa, this is...
IBM Research is opening the second lab on the continent of Africa, this time in Johannesburg. Scientists in the lab will be working on breakthrough technologies to address national priorities as well as continental brand challenges. They will also be working on skill development and fostering of local innovation. We're opening the lab in collaboration with South Africa's Department of Science and Technology and Wits University, which is a world-leading research institute.
IBM brings a wealth of international experts, a wealth of as I mentioned earlier, a history and a legacy of generating new technologies, innovation, pushing the boundaries, and installing other new companies as well. Then where does that come in? That's by its mere location, its history, being also a home of some of South Africa's most illustrious alumni, including Nelson Mandela and a few Nobel laureates who were educated here in various areas of science and health sciences. We will bring something to the party as a sense that we are a university that was always established as a university that partnered with industry from its inception.
IBM Research will be the anchor tenant of an innovation hub that's in the process of being built. By being located in an innovation hub, we'll be able to help build a very powerful innovation ecosystem consisting of startups, entrepreneurs, students, professors, and industry.
It will be a technology hub, digital technology hub, which will really bring together innovation in hardware, software, and digital content. It will have co-working spaces, maker spaces, learning spaces. I think
understanding, and then you design according to those objectives that are made. Engage with your You take that design, you engage with them, you challenge each other to see if the design really works, you test it, etc. You get, from our perspective, we needed to get approvals from a different level. We heard about the different standards that are involved in from a data center build perspective. Our site earlier is very, very strong at making sure that we train all our partners, we train all our designers to be of the highest standard, so that when you build it, because they've already got the knowledge and the skills behind it. And then, of course, the final decision of the entire project is to part of the solution set included from your power to your UPS backup power, to your cooling, to your monitoring, to the software that was placed into this environment. Every data center has some challenges. We can build our data center. So you saw the environment was built in. So as an example, we are dealing with global partners. How many of you have this kind of challenges where you're not only dealing with yourselves, but other elements within role plays within industry to deliver your solutions? We have to obviously have elaborate collaborations with all the components, stakeholders within this. So the university itself, our partners, IBM themselves, us as an OEM, we all have to make sure that everything was. We had challenges such as things like the break in December holidays, which made it a challenge to deliver on the timelines that we put in place. Things like this, South Africa had power issues during that time. So how do we manage those kind of challenges that we have? And a building that was in. So these are the parameters that were there. So the important thing is a solution provider in a data center environment, you've got to understand what your customer is going through so that you can provide these solutions for them when you're building the data centers. And we also have that comprehensive doing with understanding this entire scope and going through this process, there's a lot of collaboration, design, going back and forth with the university, with our different partners, you could actually build this amazing facility that's there. Next time in Johannesburg, we stop by and have a look at it. It's accessible to everyone. Zimbabwe. This amazing country, somebody mentioned how amazing this country is, and from my experience, it's such amazing people in this place. We talked about, somebody was mentioning the opportunity we have as a landlocked country with so many surrounding countries around Zimbabwe. What opportunities did we have? We did not see any other, besides the South, other data center builds. Is this an opportunity for you as a country to go in there and provide all these data center solutions and become really a forefront leader? And even in some ways, become the co-location environments, become the data center environments that in your own space. So for us here, we've worked on the Ethernet data center, and I'm sure people in the house, can you have a raise and a shout out for all the Ethernet people? So Ethernet is here with Sender Electronics, our key partners here in Zimbabwe, to put together this solution for Ethernet. We built the entire data center with full turnkey solutions with all the different components within it, from power, cooling, racks, etc. So we're able to work with you to try and make sure that we can contribute to driving this business in your country. We away from this thinking. So with this platform of the digital age, I'm going to end with this note that we all become, everything becomes the domain of IT. So we need to think beyond just your data center. We need to think beyond that and think about all connected devices and make sure that it all becomes part of our thinking when we're building and designing data centers. So it IT becomes prevalent throughout everybody's lives. Just to give you a brief understanding, Schneider Electric, we are a global organization in over 100 countries. What's very key for me is the 5% revenue that we dedicate to R&D. So therefore the technology that we're coming up with is coming up to a lot of understanding what's going on out there. And this way we can bring the latest technology. So thank you very much. I hope you enjoyed the presentation.
Thank you. That was really comprehensive. I have no doubt there are some reactions. Comments, questions? Incentives? Was that so stand? Here's a question.
Question on the IoT platform for farming. How do you sell this? Do you sell it as a platform as a service on your cloud or deploy it on premise?
So we saw that there's different components to it. So components of that solution will be delivered differently. So if you buy a connected product as an example, then you've got your connected product on premises. Then depending on your environment that you'll be actually deploying a solution, you've got to keep it as a mix. So if you look at the software analytics as an understanding, we have analytical stations globally. They take the information in and they provide feedback to you, so the services are delivered in that way. So it's a different mix on how we actually deliver our solution to you. And it's according to the requirements of where you're going to deploy a solution. And the key is the ability, as I mentioned earlier, the key is the ability to have choice around it. So again, as the solution provider, we can give you a full platform and whichever components you want. And then you get to cherry pick what you want and how you want it to be delivered.
Okay. Any other question, comments, additions, subtractions?
Okay, I'm from Thursday. We test that. The problem is your existence in Zim is limited. So in case that is like this, with the challenge with our APC UPS last year, paid 10 and processed a TT to buy from a company in Dubai on the 19th of December. Delivery was done this year, just last week. I think we should look into that.
Definitely. So we definitely, as we're investing in our different countries and different opportunities, as the acceleration happens, the quicker we'll be able to deliver as well. So we got the concept in an amazing way. We also need to deliver on that. And as a vendor, we also have the responsibility to be able to deliver on time. That's part of our challenge too. And we keep on challenging ourselves to make sure that we're servicing our customers as best as we can. Do we get it right 100% of the time? Who gets things 100% right 100% of the time? So we try and make sure that we have a high success, and we'll continue pushing ourselves to increase the bar as far as that is concerned. And we'll continue doing that. And what we need is, again, if we do this together, it's important to understand that your collaboration is not just the vendor that's sitting there. It's all about as many role players that are involved as possible. We can work together to make sure the solutions are delivered in the right way, in the right time for all customers.
That was an interesting contribution, with dates as well. Anyone else with a similar, precise contribution?
Yeah, just like QSP, I also want to make a comment around your knowledge of your customer. I think you would appreciate that we have made serious deployments in the banking sector as well as other service providers, including ourselves. But in your presentation, you only mentioned one organization. So I think it is important to know us all.
When you say we probably definitely want to mention everybody, and we'll go in for sure. Give us information that we need to have, and we'll include everybody. We would really want to, as an organization, be really here to empower as many people as possible. And we're trying to drive this as best as we can to make sure that we're prevalent in every customer that we have, and so that they're prevalent in everybody's space that they have as well. Anything else?
The other question is your distribution philosophy. Is it like you work with only one distributor in a country, or you've got you are looking towards expansion to have as many distributors as possible for your products and services?
So this is why we grow, because the more we grow, the more opportunity exists for everybody. So we are 100% Schneider Electric, we are a 100% channel-based organization, so we work with our partners and we empower our partners. Anybody can become a partner if they fulfill the requirements from a Schneider Electric perspective. So we're happy from that perspective. So in Zimbabwe, right now, Tendo is our key partner, and they fulfill all the requirements from the training, etc. And therefore we push our business to them. Our representation is through Tendo Electronics. Else?
Questions are still welcome. Going once? Going twice? closed for questions. Thank you so much. All right, thank you very much for your attentiveness. It's almost lunchtime. I was tempted to squeeze in a panel discussion. And then I realized that would be tantamount to abusing you. So we're going to defer that to after lunch. Meanwhile, the lunch tickets are going to be circulated like yesterday. And like yesterday, once you finish your lunch, please make your way to the exhibition area. And we'll reconvene here at 2:30.